Look at this prettiness. Super damper. Alright, so why did I choose the ATI Damper over other setups? Well, ever since I was in high school, and that was kind of like a million years ago, ATI Damper was like the pinnacle of, is the pinnacle of damping technology for any engine build. High revving cars, turbo, stock cars, whatever. This is the money ticket right here. Now, it's about 100, it's a 538.99, something like that from Flying Miata, but it comes with everything you need. It comes with a new OE bolt, the key, and everything else. A little spacer shim for your timing belt so it doesn't walk and wear. It's pretty awesome. And plus, this absorbs more of the harmful harmonic noises and vibrations that your car will make with the turbo setup. Now, do you need this for a stock engine setup? No. Does it hurt? No. Will it help you? Yes, because the oil pump on the Miata is very fragile. So when you swap out the old one, it'll love you. The car will love you. My stock one right now, when it's rotating, it has a slight wobble, and I think it's because the rubber between the two pieces of the pulley is kind of worn out. So right now it's not really doing a great job. It has a slight wobble at idle. So imagine that at high rev, like at redline. You know, that's a lot of vibration. And this car makes, I don't know, 100 horsepower. What is it rated to? Like factory 1.8 is 125 horsepower or something like that, they said. So 125, and we're asking 275 to the wheel, maybe more. I mean, Toby, my tuner, actually tuned a stock NA8 with a turbo kit to 300, I think, and he made it live, but you know, on E85. I'm not sure how long it lived, but I'm really just shooting for 270, 275, 250, you know, not really a big horsepower maker, but I am worried about my stock damper vibrating. I have a cheap, really crappy video I'll throw up over here, but I didn't really take a good video of it. But this is a good insurance for any motor, to be honest. So if you have a spare $538 and some change, get one. I got mine from Flying Miata. I ordered it on a Friday night, and it got here Monday at 10 a.m. That's insane. I'm in California, they're in Colorado, so that's pretty quick. The guys at Flying Miata, they don't mess around. When you order, they send it out. I swear, like they go home, right? And they see an order, I think they drive back and send stuff out. That's crazy. I mean, I know those guys, but I'm not special to them, you know? Like when they see my name and they see your name, it's the same thing. Whoever orders first gets it first. Just because they know me doesn't mean I'm special to them, you know? They just ship out. That's their normal work ethic. It's crazy. They ship fast and, you know, pretty accurate. Every time I order something from Flying Miata, I'm never missing anything. Nothing's ever damaged. The packing's always great. So it's cool. Other than this, I have the crankshaft bolt holder tool. Now, this is a must because you really can't hold the crank unless you have the tranny off, which I did last week, and I didn't do this, right? And this is why you should check everything before you do anything major. So with the tranny off, I could have done this way easier because I could have just stuck an extension at the back with a flywheel and held it in place, but no, I didn't check. So remember, if you're doing your clutch and your flywheel and you're dropping the tranny, check your crank pulley. If it has a vibration, probably a good time to do it with that whole thing. So I got this, and I got new hood dampers because I don't have any. I just have the little stick, and the stick's pretty annoying to deal with. So when I pop the hood, I just want to go and then just badass. So the main thing is the ATI damper. I know we're gonna have fun installing this, and you'll see how much fun that is right now. All right, over here is my number 4 socket. And this is Allen number 4, and that's basically what I use for all these guys right here. So I'm gonna pop this off. You can see that I'm using these buttons. See that? They're pretty long. I got different size buttons for different applications. So if you're curious what kind of hardware I use, they're basically stainless steel buttons. All right, we'll take the rest off. And it's nice to have power tools too because it makes things so much quicker. Okay, now there you go. And there's my side fin. All right, so now that all the bolts are off, this should just slide off. But who knows? We'll see. Oh, there you go. Pull back. Bam. Diffuser or splitter removal made easy. And I have collars right here on the side. You won't see that right now, but I have collars to keep it in place. All right, so down here you can see the EK bracket, and that's it right there with 3 holes, and it mounts to the radiator core support right there. And it's also pretty adjustable, as you can see back there. You can change the height and whatever, and then down here I got the bottom of the lip nut-certed, and I mean that's just to keep everything lined up and tight. It doesn't really support the front splitter as much as this gigantic bracket right here. And under the core right here for the intercooler, you can see that it also has a mounting bracket that goes in right there and mounts to the side of the radiator. So it's not just floating there. Everything's pretty solid. I've already done my timing belt previously, about a year ago when I put this car together initially for SEMA. But back then I didn't decide to do the ATI Damper because I didn't think I was going to boost the car. Yada yada yada. So now we're taking this thing apart again from the ground up. So if you decide to do your timing cover, you might think about doing the ATI Damper because you'll save a lot of time. Right, now with the bolts removed, everything should come off. Hopefully. This thing's silicone in the back and on the corner, so you might need to bump it. Okay, so that guy's off. This should wiggle off. There you go. Right, with the valve cover off and the front cover off, we're going to continue removing the other covers right here. Loosen up the main bolt right here. Now, it's kind of tough because I got my blow-off valve right here, but for you stock guys, it should be okay. So, loosen this up. Okay. I'm trying to do everything here without removing the radiator. I might have to move the radiator, but we'll see. I'm trying not to. Should be good. There we go. So this should be ready to come off. There you go, nice and loose. Then I need to loosen up the bottom bolt. The alternator bolt I'm talking about is right here. It connects the alternator to the bracket, and the main head is back there, the center of the screen. And you need to loosen that up to get the alternator to swing forward a little bit. And once you have that swinging forward, this should be free to go. Alright, next thing you want to do is you want to remove the 4 bolts holding on the crank pulley onto the crank. Pop this off. Okay. Then you should have access to the 21mm bolt onto the crank. Now we're going to use the Flying Miata tool to undo this thing because it's torqued on there at like 125 foot-pounds or something, so it's going to be a total nightmare to pull that off without using the tool. Right, here's how your motor should look after everything's off. So the valve cover is off and the front timing cover is off. The pulley right there is off as well, and the water pump pulley above that is also off. So now we are ready to install the crank pulley. I'm not sure if I can do that without removing the radiator and the sway bar and sway bar bracket right there, but I'm really trying hard to keep everything in place there because it's kind of a bitch for my setup. For your setup, it's probably easier to remove all that stuff, but for me, there's actually a lot of room under the car. Right, here's the angle under the car. There's plenty of room from what I can see. That's the crank bolt right there. We're gonna need the Flying Miata tool to remove that without spinning the crank. It won't be here until Wednesday or so, so that's, I don't know, 3 days from now. So we're gonna wait, but having everything prepped, ready to go is always nice because once it comes in, we can put everything on, and if we have any issues, we're not wasting any time. So hopefully we don't have to remove the radiator, but if we do, I've already done it a million times. I just don't want to freaking take out the coolant and all that stuff again because it's messy. Tools will be here in 3, 2, 1. All right, check this out. I got my Chihuahua sock and my hot dog. All right, so it's Monday, and this thing actually came in quicker than I thought. I ordered this, Friday night? And Flying Miata's in Colorado, somewhere in Colorado. And we're in California, and it's already here, so pretty amazing. Those guys at Flying Miata don't f around. All right, so here's our damper. Voila! And while at it, I actually ordered the, this is the crankshaft bolt holder tool right here. I got one of these too. This is the hood damper. I'm tired of using the hood prop, so I got me these hood dampers, and I think that's it. Oh, and also a new oxygen sensor because the original one I have is kind of beat, and I'm sure it still works, but you know, why not switch it while we're here? And the Flying Miata one comes with the connectors already installed, so you don't need to fuss with wiring yours up. And this was only about $108 or something, super cheap compared to buying an OE, you know what I'm saying? So make sure if you need an O2 sensor, buy it from Flying Miata. It even comes with the OEM zip tie. Look at that. Oh, dude, I love Flying Miata, guys. So today we're gonna start doing this. First of all, I'll show you what's inside this kit. Right. So you have your instruction sheet, Avi. This is the belt guide right here, and this bolts onto the ATI damper. This is the belt guide for your timing belt, so it doesn't walk forward. If you don't have this, you'll actually wear out your belt quicker. This is the new key right there, and some lube. New bolt. I think these are all OE Mazda stuff. Yeah, they are. See? Genuine Mazda. And finally, the star of our show. This is the ATI Super Damper. Look at that. Freaking awesome. And you gotta follow the instruction here. It says a minimum of 9 bolts must be installed, Loctited, or torqued correctly. I'm gonna do all of the above. Y'all know me already. Comes with the new cog on the back right here for your timing belt. So instead of just bolting this on with 4 bolts like the factory, you have to take the whole timing area off. That's exactly why we prepped it the other day. It sucks that you have to do this, but that's the only way to make sure that it fits very, very, very tight. The tolerances inside here is actually tighter than the factory, so installing this might be a bitch. You'll probably see that later when I struggle and talk like a pirate. So there you go. 2 ribs for all your accessory belts. I'm only going to use the inner belt right here because my car doesn't rock power steering or AC. I only have the alternator to power. So there you go. Let's get back on the car. All right, next step, we're going to use this crank bolt tool from Flying Miata, and I'll show you how this goes right now. All right, so you take your crank tool, drop it in here, get 2 of your OE bolts, bolt this thing on. Okay, then you bolt on the top as well. You don't want to tighten this yet because you still got to slide on the top. Okay, so
pop this one in. So you can see, there you go, it's on. And then this is just your stock 10mm bolt. You have 4 of them that holds the stock pulley in place. So that's in, that's in. You get your 10mm. Tighten it down, doesn't need to be crazy tight, just needs to be snug. All right, so that's installed. As you can see, 2 bolts here, 1, 2, crank tool. Then this thing's just basically going to rest. I'll show you right now. I'll rotate this on the water pump. Now, it's not gonna f up your water pump or anything like that, so don't worry. There you go. See that? And now, once we hit this with the breaker bar, it should pop right off. So I'm going to use this old torque wrench, and it doesn't matter if I f up the torque wrench because I don't use this for any sort of real work anyways. So I just use it to break things because it's out of spec. So there we go. Oh my God, it's tight. Need some leverage. Okay, there you go. And it broke. Not broken like I f***ed it up. The bolt's coming off, as you can see. And that's basically what the tool helps you with. Now without that tool, you're gonna need to put it on 5th gear. Someone can hold the brake and e-brake, and hopefully it comes off, or you hit it with a impact. Okay. There you go. This is a rather large bolt, FYI. Then you can take out this guy along with the tool, and you can see the woodruff keys right here. Now, this is the original one, and some people kind of are worried that this might be loose, but it's actually pretty good. All right, so I'm going to show you how this looks when I spin it, and you'll see when it's at TDC, because the socket or the extension itself is going to point straight up. And I can't really see this from down here, but you can kind of see the motion of the whole assembly move. You see that? See how it's moving? And you basically just put the, you put it to where it's at top dead center, so when that stick or the extension's at its highest point, and you basically just look at the markings as well to make sure. Simple. All right, so we loosened up the crank bolt right there. We slapped it back on so we could spin it, and I basically stuck a 1/2-inch extension right here down cylinder 1, and I just basically turned the engine until this is at its highest point. And these markings right here, see the I on that cam, or the cam gear, and then the E right there, and the white marking in the back. See how there's an E on that as well, and the I. And over here, these guys right here are pointing straight up, the little notch up on top of the E, and here on top of the I. See that? That basically means your TDC, top dead center. Now we can lock the cams right here using these hex area right here. We're just going to use 2 24mm wrenches, or you could use like a adjustable wrench on there if you wanted to, right there. And then we lock them together. If you have the tool, better. If you don't, it's fine. I'll show you how to do it without it. All right, to keep this relevant for everybody, we're going to use 2 adjustable wrenches right here. And yeah, I know I could get the special tool to do this, but most of you guys will not have access to those things. So now we know we're TDC, top dead center. We're going to use this boy right here. I'm going to put it on the hex portion of the cam itself. I showed you that earlier. All right. And this is a 24mm 24 millimeter wrench. If you really want to get technical with it, you can get yourself some at Home Depot or whatever, but not really necessary. So once we have this set up right here, good, right? This is nice. We're gonna use this vice grip to hold everything in place. You want this nice and tight, so make sure you fight for it. Okay, and there you go. Now it's locked, it can't slip, it won't go anywhere. You're already at TDC, so the next thing we're gonna do is there's the pulley at the bottom, or the tensioner. I'll show you right now. There's a tensioner right here, the one with a slot. You're gonna undo that so we can take out the belt assembly. All right, here's a closer look at this setup. Now you're not damaging anything here because you're on that cast part, and it's pretty hard to scratch any of that stuff because it's pretty brute. It might look ghetto, but this is a lifesaver if you don't have the tool to do it. So now we're gonna loosen up this bolt. I know it's hard to see, but you kind of get the idea. Loosen this guy. Oh, I'm gonna end up jacking up my hand here. Watch. I'm just gonna do it from up here. All right, so with this nut loose, this thing can actually slide back and forth, and you have play now on the timing belt. See that? So you actually take this whole thing off now if you wanted to. So we're gonna take out the nut again, slide this whole thing off, and then test fit our new damper. All right, so if you're wondering how you're gonna torque this without spinning the whole car and spinning the crank, here's what you do. You take the same Flying Miata tool, TEWL, this guy, the remover, and we use this to remove the OEM pulley. You take this, right, and you line it up with 2 of the 12-point bolts right here, right, and then, boom, right there, these guys, the bigger ones, you basically take those bolts off, you bolt this down, and you do the same thing. You kind of just prop this against the water pump. Duh, how easy is that, right? Now, this didn't cost much. I forgot what this was. I'm just gonna guess here, like 20 bucks or something. And it's gonna make your life way freaking easier. Obviously, you could jerry rig something, get a pipe at Home Depot or a piece of steel like this, and then drill holes right here, or not drill holes, drill holes to match these spacing, and then prop it against something else. But if they already have this, why not? It's so easy, and there you go, it'll save your life. I also got a new set of covers right here from my local Mazda dealer. I had to order it, but yeah, it came in within like a day or so, and it goes like this. Now, while you're here, you might as well buy new covers, because this cost me, what, like 200 bucks? And they're brand new, so they're not warped. This area right here, this is where the pulley goes, right? And if yours are warped, it might scrape the back of the pulley. Right here, the back of the pulley. See that? I've already installed the ring right here. I didn't have to record that because it's fairly easy. You just take it, slap it on here, and then bolt it down. See, I have the markings on there already to make sure that I've already torqued it down. Anyways, if this guy goes right here, and if your timing cover is oil soaked and is warped, you might end up scraping this area. So the Flying Miata instructions actually states that you should, if you have an old one, cut this area off. So right here, all the way up to here, to make clearance. But since I have a new setup, I'm going to test your theory that you don't need to. And look, the new one's even, it's white, it's painted right there. All right, back on the GoPro, quick updates on where we're at. I replaced the timing belt here with a Gates Kevlar belt. This wasn't too much, it was like $70 something. And to do this, I had to undo the thermostat housing and these two hoses, so that means I had to drain the thermostat area. I just undid this, let it drain, and that was it. I didn't actually drain the whole radiator because there's no need to. Just drain the top, all the residual coolant will just flow down, and then you're good. And while at it, I actually swapped it out to some hex bolts there, and also in the back right here, I have hex bolts there because it used it had a stud back there before. So now that we have this, we installed the timing cover because I think Flying Miata states you should do the timing cover first and then you do the pulley. So we're gonna attempt to do the pulley now. Hopefully I don't f it up because I've been reading a lot of how-tos and it's kind of scary. So let's do it. All right, so the kit comes with this ARP Molly lube, and you're supposed to install this or apply this. Install. You're supposed to apply this to the crank itself. So there's the crank. Hopefully you guys can see that. And we're just gonna put enough. I'm not gonna put too much, just enough on here so the pulley's got something to work with. Just kind of make sure you don't get this on the timing belt because I don't think that's a good thing. So apply some here. Hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, that's enough. Clean up the excess. You really don't need too much, to be honest, because this is a pretty tight fit as far as what I've read. So most of this lube that we're applying is probably just gonna ooze right out on the backside, and you don't want to make a mess back there because you can't access that after everything's tight. So best thing to do is just put enough, but not too much where you make a mess. All right, get this rag and wipe our fingers. I want to make sure get more of the excess stuff out. Okay, just remember what I'm doing here. Don't put too much, just put enough to coat the crank nose, and that's about it. All right, now we're gonna slide this thing on with the key. And the key, I heard you're supposed to put it halfway onto the crank, halfway out. So we're gonna lube this. There's a portion of this key that's rounded. You gotta make sure you put that down properly. You'll kind of know. Once you have it down, it fits pretty snugly on there, so you'll know once it's on. Now, it is possible to bend the shit out of this key if you're not careful. So, with that said, just halfway, not all the way. And then we're gonna put the pulley on top and it should pull it in. We're gonna use the old bolt to pull this thing in, and the final bolt will be the new one. We'll tighten that after. All right, here we go. Hopefully everything's good. It's kind of tight to see this. This is quite easy to push back in if you're not careful. So we're just gonna slowly pop this on. There you go. We have double checked the key depth. Make sure it's not too far in. Okay, I feel like that's pretty good. All right, hope you guys can see this. I got the bolt in. Now it's just hand tight. Now I'm gonna take off 2 of these bolts so I can attach the Flying Miata tool right here to tighten the crank. All right, see if we could take this off. I think this is just an M8 or an 8mm socket, 12mm or 12mm. 8 mil, 12 point. Jesus Christ, can't even talk. Ooh, that's tight, isn't it? Should probably hold the other side while I'm doing this. Oh, that's straight. Hopefully. I'm gonna loosen up. Oh, this is tight. FYI, this is hand tight only, doesn't need to be torqued to any specification if you're curious. Why isn't it lining up? Where you at? Are you all the way out here? Maybe I need to spin this more. There it is. I hope you guys can see this. Then we're gonna rest this on the water neck. Hopefully I don't jack up that new gasket I just installed. Just gonna snug this just a little bit, not too much. Yeah, we should be all right. And then now we just crank on this until it bottoms out, and hopefully my key is okay. Oh, it bottomed out! Yay! I think. Still check. Yeah, it did. Okay. Now we have to take this thing off. The main bolt. Okay. Woo, holding that, all that torque. It's no fun. Okay. Take the bolt back off. And we could verify our key is good. And we just torque it with a new bolt in place. So there's the key I'm talking about. See how that's still somewhat above the crank nose? That is perfect. I basically put it in there enough. I think I put a quarter of it on the crank nose, and then the rest is sticking out. And you want that to be just like that, so when you tighten this down, it kind of slides in. Now, if you put it too deep into the nose, say you put it more than halfway, you might pull the whole thing and bend it. As far as what Flying Miata says, we need to tap that in a little bit more, and it needs to be 6 millimeter below the surface of the pulley. So the outside of the nose right there. See how it's flush right now? We need to tap that down another 6 millimeter. I'm gonna use my little hammer and half-inch, a quarter-inch extension. I'm just gonna tap the key into position. All right, there's the woodruff key punched into place. Now, you can use a caliper like this to verify your setup, and this little hammer and a little extension, guys, right here, to kind of punch it in place. And you just gotta do it very carefully, and you need to make sure you measure, but that's pretty much all we need to do. If someone tells you you need to remove the radiator to install this, That's actually false information because my radiator is still on, my fan's still on, everything's still on. I did remove my sway bar, but that's about it. So when people tell you that you need to remove the radiator to do this, not really. So now that we know we're gonna really crank on this bad boy, we're gonna get our nice torque wrench, and I think this is set to about 125 foot-pounds. Let me see. See, they say blue right here, 125 foot-pounds. 125 foot-pounds. Boom, 125 foot-pounds. Let's party. All right, so we're just gonna wang on this. Oh yeah, they see that? There you go. That's 125 foot-pounds. 1, 2, 3. Right, y'all heard it. Click 3 times. All right, so once you get the pulley installed, put everything back on and test it. I mean, I didn't really want to cover everything from soup to nuts because I've already done the timing cover in another video, but just put everything back on, get under the car, watch the pulley spin. If it's spinning straight and true, then you're good. Check your timing and button everything up. And that's pretty much it. The trickiest part of the install is basically having enough space to work on the car, because with the sway bar here in place, you can't get anything here. And if you decide to do it like how I did it and kept my radiator intact, you're not going to be able to get an impact gun inside there. So you're going to have to use manual tools. But you know, that's not really a problem because it's not really a hard job. 125 foot-pounds isn't that much more than, say, like your lug nuts. I guess your lug nut's like 90 foot-pounds or 85 depending on your car, but it's really not that bad. The trickiest part is just the woodroof key, I think. I slid about 1/4 inch of the woodroof key in there. Some people will say slide in, you know, like half of the length of the woodroof key. I didn't. I only used 1/4 of it, and it seated fine. A lot of people have told me that they've bent theirs because they put too much in, and it actually seated on the bottom where the crank nose is before the back of the pulley seated to the crank. So just FYI, do not push the woodroof key too far in. 1/4 inch to maybe a little bit more than 1/4 inch is fine, but any more than that, you'll be in trouble. And get yourself a nice set of timing covers. Like these are brand new. Like I said, I bought a whole new set. But if you have a old, worn down timing cover, you're gonna need to trim it a little bit because it's gonna scrape the pulley. Even my setup, it's so close. I'm not sure if you can see the back over there, but it's so close to touching it. It doesn't though, because I've already tested this engine. So hopefully this helped. I know it's a long video, but I didn't want to skip everything.